So I am very frustrated and just annoyed with the mainstream news networks because they're just so horrible. In the United States, they've been terrible for a long time, but now they've gone to even a new low where pretty much the news is just retweeting Trump and pretending it's the end of the world. I don't give a shit. Or it's glorifying serial killers hours on end and incentivizing more people to shoot more people to get on the news. It's like, ah. Then we have the BBC, which seems to have really been going down a far leftist path over the past like 10 years, or at least they used to be pretty unbiased in their shows. Like, I used to really enjoy like BBC Horizon and stuff like that, but now I'm really noticing things kind of creeping into the shows, and it's getting really annoying. Thankfully, NHK is pretty good, but NHK is mostly in Japanese, so most people don't enjoy that. So, why don't I start my own news show? And I was thinking, why don't I call it Silver Lining News? So I could just be a handful of news stories that I care about, because to be honest, I would say 99% of the news stories shown on news networks are just, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And so here's a few things that I do care about, and I think are a bit nicer, because the average news nowadays leaves you with a bad aftertaste and just leaves you with a bad mood. So hopefully this will leave you with less of a bad mood. First thing I want to talk about is a bit old, actually like 6 weeks old. So the Folgeld bill in Switzerland did not pass. So that was a bill, I believe a bill, that would get rid of, I believe, fractional reserve banking. It was an interesting experiment, but I think it was a bad idea, because if every country got rid of fractional reserve banking, then it might be okay. But I believe Switzerland alone getting rid of that would basically be a big punch in the gut, because, you know, their banking system's kind of important. Everyone I bring that up to hasn't even heard of Folgeld, so you guys probably haven't heard of it either, so there you go. And you probably don't care. Oof, maybe that wasn't a good thing to include then. Maybe I should include stories that you guys would be interested in. So let's talk about Mr. Steven. Mr. Steven is a boat, the SpaceX fairing catching boat, and they just quadrupled the size of the net. Teslarati made some good articles about it, but basically, at least, I mean, to be honest, you can just read the SpaceX's Twitter. But they have these rockets going up, the Falcon 9s, and they were able to recover the first stage. Second stage is not so much yet. But they're working on recovering the fairings, because the fairings, which go around like the satellites or whatever, those just fall back down. And those cost, I believe, $3 million each. So they're building a boat, trying to catch them. But they've been having some accuracy issues, so what they're doing is they're making the parachutes bigger so they can have more accurate landing, because the fairings now have parachutes, so they can actually kind of guide themselves to the boat. And the boat, they doubled the width and length of the net, so it'll have a better chance of catching them. So hey, maybe they can start saving more money. That's pretty cool. And reusing parts for rocket engines is a big thing. That's one reason why I really don't like Boeing's space launch system, because it's not reusable as far as I can tell. I don't know about that. Oh, but speaking of rocketry, a little bit change to entertainment. Let's see, what was it? Royal Space Force, The Wings of Hanamise. So that was an old anime from an anime movie from 1987, and I really liked it. I thought it was really good. It's basically if I remember correctly, it's a kind of a hard science fiction film, and they're finally making the sequel after like almost 30 years. So the sequel, I believe, is going to be called Uru in Blue, and they're hoping to release it later this year. I only recently discovered this news, so I mean, I know it's not very relevant, like in a timely manner, or relevant time-wise, but to me it was something I recently learned, so I look forward to seeing that movie later on. I believe it takes place 50 years after Wings of Hanamais. So I believe that's how you pronounce it. And so it goes over space and stuff like that again. So that's kind of cool. Then next story is launch schedule. So on July 22nd, we will be having a Falcon 9 launch the Telstar 19 Vantage satellite. It's like early in the morning. I'm not gonna watch. So for the longest time, I used to even like stay up to watch the rockets. But now that SpaceX is launching so many rockets, I'm catching the rebroadcast. I'm just catching the video when they upload it, because going forward, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep changing my schedule around every single day, because pretty soon they're going to be launching a rocket every single day. Although I believe their 2019 manifest is smaller than their 2018. But then their 2020 manifest for rocket launches should be a lot more. And July 25th, we're going to have 2 rocket launches. We're going to have the Ariane 5 launching the Galileo 23 to 26. So it looks like that is 4 satellites. That's kind of cool. And we're going to have the Falcon 9. I find it hard to get excited over a rocket that isn't reusable. Like, if it isn't the Falcon 9, then, well, that's kind of a waste. And it's not that interesting to watch, because the landing is the big thing you want to watch. Oh, well. A little bit of ranting news, because, I mean, even though this is silver lining news, doesn't mean I can't rant a little bit. So, I think that if I'm understanding the situation correctly, which I don't live in the country, so maybe I'm not, but I think Theresa May is just totally fucking up as, what, Prime Minister? Yeah, Prime Minister. I just want to make sure I get that right, because there's a lot of countries with a lot of different names for a lot of different positions. I think she's totally messing up on the Brexit deal, because if I understand correctly, she's going for a soft Brexit, so they're just going to be getting rid of their voting rights while keeping the laws and keeping the, like, staying a subject of the European Union. That's a bit messed up. Like, come on, Britain, UK, whatever you are. I know you used to have an empire, and you lost that, but I didn't realize you lost your, like, zeal, your sovereignty, lost your balls, if that was the right term. It's weird saying that, but I mean, that is the right term, though. Because, like, seriously, I never imagined I'd see the, like you guys used to have an empire, and now you're clutching onto the European Union, like, oh, I don't want to leave. It's like, you've already voted, you've already decided, get the fuck out. Just act like, I don't know. It's like, it's easy to criticize, I know, but
I mean, what happened? Did your balls drop off?
But one good thing is, I'm not sure, like, when, like, elections are or whatever about that, but one silver lining of this story is that you guys might, I'm a citizen of the internet, I don't know, so you guys might get Jacob Rees-Mogg for Prime Minister. That'd be pretty cool. Probably won't happen, from what I can tell, but maybe. I mean, it's better than Jeremy Corbyn. Isn't that the weird communist guy? I don't know, I think that's the weird communist guy. So many weird stuff. Oh, and speaking of UK news again, evidently UKIP's been exploding because a bunch of YouTubers have made it cool to go to them. What? I think it's funny. Whatever. And because isn't that like the far right party? And then like Sargon of Akkad and Count Dankula, aren't they like left? I mean, the whole left-right thing, I don't really understand it. It doesn't really make much sense to me anyway, but if I understand correctly, those are usually portrayed as things that are very different. So that's kind of funny. Like, anyway, It's almost like they're invading it. On to Japan. Japan evidently signed some deal with the European Union to like lower tariffs or taxes or whatever on car imports. So Japan might be selling more cars to the EU, so that's kind of cool. I mean, hey, I like Japan a lot, and if it helps Japan, that's good on them. Speaking of Japan, I think you guys should check out a show, which there's a lot of episodes on YouTube. And now this is one of like the most amazing examples I can think of why NHK is such a great. Actually, no, NHK invented HD footage. NHK invented 1080p or 1080i, and then 1080p, and then they pretty much, like, what is it, the NHK Research Laboratory or whatever. So what I'm talking about is high vision, like what was on like Laserdiscs and whatnot. And that was the NHK Science and Technology Research Laboratories. And they've made so much stuff. Like they've pioneered 4K video, then 8K video, then 12K video. Like pretty much all of the amazing things about video have come from them. Except for I do not think H.264 or H.265 video compression came from them. I believe that is actually more of an American thing. I'm not sure though. Don't hold me to that. But yeah, so I think you guys should check out a show called Japanology Plus. There's also the original series, which was Begin Japanology, but Japanology Plus is just such an amazing documentary series, and it's in English and presented by Peter Berrigan. It's amazing. It's an amazing little. I'll put some links in the description or in like the little like card thing or whatever for you guys to check out some of the videos, because they're just such nice and I guess uplifting, because they're always happy. If these were filmed in America, it would end in like, and they're all gonna die. If it was filmed in the UK, it would be like, and their women are being paid the same as men. But in Japan, they're filmed with the ending of, and things are seeming to look a little better. We're solving the problem. Like with the regional transport crisis. Like, sure, they go over how a lot of smaller rail lines are shutting down and having problems with that. But they also go over how some of them are being helped by local communities, and it's a lot of, like, it's not ending on a bad note. I like that. I like how it's not just doom and gloom. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I guess I have heard that China's economy is going down, which I don't know if I want to admit that I kind of relish in that, but it's just like when a country just exports so much garbage. And actually, I believe China is the source of like 70% of all plastics that enter the ocean. It's just, I'm not a fan of countries like that. Like, I like countries like Switzerland and Japan that at least now, or actually no, for the longest time they valued quality. Sure, Japan, when they were bombed and like, World War II happened, they were kind of bombed back to the Stone Age. But they had that culture of quality, that culture of craftsmanship, and they rebounded from that decimation so quickly over like a matter of only a couple decades. Whereas China doesn't really have that culture. And that mixed with communism just leads to a lack of interest in creativity, and like there's also a terrible copying culture in China. Like, well, you can just go over all that. Oh, what was it? ADV China. ADV China is a good channel to watch about that, because they really go over the cultural issues in China. And yeah, I don't think it's a healthy long-term solution for China at the moment, because they seem to be doing a lot of things wrong. Well, that's pretty much it. I don't know if I ended on a good note or a bad note, but this is a couple of stories that I thought were interesting to share. I don't know if I'll ever do this again, but I feel like doing this now, so I'm happy I did. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching. See ya!